200,000 people. That's how many people have moved from Portland, Oregon to Washington State in the last several years. 200,000 people who figured something out, who did the math, who made a decision that's saving them thousands of dollars every single year. And I'm willing to bet that if you live in Portland or anywhere in Oregon and you haven't seriously considered this move, it's not because the math doesn't work. It's because nobody's actually walked you through it. Today, I'm gonna show you exactly what those 200,000 people figured out, the tax savings, the housing value, the trade-offs, and why this might be the biggest financial decision you make this decade. I'm Connor Webb, your mortgage loan officer, and I live in Ridgefield, Washington, one of the fastest growing cities in the state, for exactly the reasons I'm about to share with you. Let's start with what's actually happening here, because the scale of this migration is remarkable. Over the past decade, Oregon has been consistently losing residents to Washington, and it's accelerating. In the last few years alone, the Portland metro area lost tens of thousands of residents to Clark County specifically. We're not talking about retirees leaving for Arizona. We're talking about working professionals, families, people in their 30s and 40s, people at the peak of their earning years. And when you look at where they're going, the pattern is clear. Ridgefield, Battleground, Vancouver, Camas, Washougal, all within commuting distance of Portland, all in Washington. Now, there are a lot of reasons people move, but when you see this many people moving in the same direction, there's usually something specific going on. And in this case, it comes down to one thing: money. Oregon has a state income tax of up to 9.9%. It's one of the highest in the country. On the flip side, Washington has no state income tax, zero. That's it. That's what 200,000 people figured out. But let me show you what that actually means in real dollars, because the numbers are bigger than most people realize. Let's say you make $100,000 a year, a solid professional salary. In Oregon, after federal taxes, you're also paying somewhere around $8,000 to $9,000 in state income tax. Every year, just gone. In Washington, zero. That's $750 a month back in your pocket. Now let's play this out over time. 5 years, $45,000 saved. 10 years, $90,000 saved. Over a 30-year career, you're looking at $270,000. And that's assuming your income never goes up. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about sales tax? Oregon doesn't have a sales tax, Washington does. Fair point. Let's do the math too. Washington's sales tax in Clark County is around 8.4%. So if you spend, let's say, $30,000 a year on taxable goods, which is actually a pretty high estimate, that's about $2,500 a year in sales tax. So you're paying $2,500, but you're keeping $9,000. Net savings around $6,500 a year minimum. And by the way, bigger purchases like furniture, appliances, major items, a lot of people drive just 20 minutes into Oregon and buy them there. No sales tax, perfectly legal, problem solved. But here's where it gets really interesting, because the tax savings are just part of the story. Let's talk about what your money actually buys. $600,000 in Portland, and that's if you can even find something at that price, gets you maybe a 3-bedroom, 1,500 square feet, probably needs work, probably built in the 60s or 70s, maybe a 1-car garage, a small lot. The same $600,000 in Ridgefield, 4 bedrooms, 2,200 square feet, built in the last 10 years, 2-car garage, a real yard, great schools. It's not even close. So you're saving money on taxes, you're getting more house, and in most cases, you're getting a newer house with lower maintenance costs. That's why the migration is happening. That's what 200,000 people have figured out. Now, I know you might be watching this thinking, okay, but what's the catch? There's always a catch. So let me address the real questions people have. But I work in Portland. Don't I still owe Oregon taxes? It depends. If you physically work in Oregon, like you go into an office in Portland every day, then yes, you'll owe Oregon income tax on those wages. The days you work from your Washington home, you don't owe Oregon anything. And since 2020, remote and hybrid work has exploded. A lot of people are only in the office 2 or 3 days a week. That alone cuts their Oregon tax burden in half. What about the commute? From Ridgefield to downtown Portland is about 25 to 30 minutes depending on traffic. Is that longer than living in inner Portland? Sure. Is it longer than living in Beaverton or Lake Oswego or Tigard? Actually, no, it's often faster. And again, if you're hybrid, you're only making that commute a couple times a week. Isn't it just the suburbs? I love Portland's culture. Look, I'm not going to tell you Ridgefield has the same restaurant and bar scene as Portland. It doesn't, but Vancouver does. And Portland is 15 minutes away. You're not moving to Montana. You're moving across the river. You can still have brunch in the Pearl District whenever you want. You just don't have to pay 9% of your income for the privilege of sleeping there. So who is this actually for? Remote workers. If you can work from anywhere and your company doesn't care, this is a no-brainer. Keep your Portland salary, keep Washington's taxes. Hybrid workers. If you're only in the office 2 to 3 days a week, you're already halfway there. Renters priced out of Portland. If you've been watching home prices in Portland climb out of reach, Washington might put homeownership back on the table. Families who want space, if you want a yard, good schools, and a neighborhood where your kids can ride bikes, Clark County delivers. High earners who feel the tax burden. If you're making $200,000, you're paying close to $18,000 a year in state income tax. That's $1,500 a month going to Salem instead of your future. This isn't a trick, it's not a loophole, it's just geography. I've lived in Ridgefield for 25 years and I have no plans of leaving this area and this state for all of these reasons. The tax savings, the housing values, the space. What I didn't expect was how much I loved the community, the small town feel with the big city access, the neighbors who actually know each other, the quality of life. I'm not saying this move is right for everyone. Maybe you love your Portland neighborhood, maybe your kids are settled in school, maybe the commute doesn't work for your job. But if you've ever wondered whether the math makes sense, if you've ever looked at your paycheck and thought about how much is going to Oregon, I'd love to run the numbers with you. There's a link in the description of this video to schedule a quick call. We'll look at your situation, see what kind of homes you can afford over here, and figure out if it makes sense. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.